Now we're going to go over some Seicho Jutsu hand techniques using linear movement, straight movement. Our last techniques that we were teaching on the first segment was circular motion and redirecting, and now it's going to go into reflecting and slide techniques. To begin here, we're going to do an aggressive attack. We're going to attack our opponent. So if our opponent has his hands up in this position here, I want to attack him. If I want to punch him here, he could trade off with me here or here. Now if he was smart, he'd trade off with me first with this punch so that he could follow up with that punch. Now I know that, so I want to knock this guy's head off, but in doing so, I don't want him to knock my head off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to counter his guard. Now his guard, he has a forward hand, which is his lead hand, and his reverse hand, which is his sinker. So when I go to attack him, I'm going to guard this arm and my elbow guarding that arm as I come to attack him. So I'm going to close him down. I want to punch him, but I don't want him to be able to punch me and trade off. So as I go to attack, this first segment is coming straight through, punching, guarding this hand from hitting me and blocking this arm from hitting me simultaneously. If I wanted to come and just hit him with this hand, I would have to come across this and reflect it. I'm not going to hit and move. It's going to be one motion. Since my arm is hitting this way, it's going to bounce his hand off mine, which is going to come in for my secondary strike. Always covering the fact that he can't hit me because I'm carrying on hitting him and carrying on my straight movement. So here, if I wanted to attack with this hand first, I did this. If I wanted to attack with this hand first, I do this. So this one, I can guard. It's hard to see from here. I can guard this punch with my elbow up. So when I'm coming to guard this, if I just went to punch him, I could get punched here. If I just went to punch him, I could get punched here. I want to be able to guard this hand from hitting me, guard this hand from hitting me, and hit him. So what I'm going to do is, in this position, I'm going to come straight through like this. So my punch is coming on an angle like this, coming to guard this punch. This punch can't hit me because when it comes to hit me, from this punch here, it's just not there. So I could come from here guarding. If he was holding his arms out in this position here, I would then again have to be able to guard this arm, hit him in the face on a trajectory like this. If I do this, switch your feet so I can show it from the other side. So if this is on this side, when I'm coming to hit him, if I punched him here, he could come across. He could hit me from either side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to guard the probability of him punching me here with this hand, and my punch, instead of coming straight this way, it's coming this way so that I can guard this arm from punching me. So when I come to attack, it's in this position here, which is then going to keep on going through, knocking my opponent backwards. There are quite a few differences between circular movements and redirecting and linear and reflecting. And what I mean by that is, if your opponent came to punch you and I'm redirecting, I'm taking his forward energy and letting it go around. Here it's like, in order for him to punch me, there is an angle from his shoulder, this shoulder coming across me. Now you can see this movement here. Now, this movement works fine. He has no problem hitting me. Even from here, no problem hitting me. Now, if I move here, his punch isn't going to go. So reflecting means that you're reflected off of something. So the difference between that is, when he comes to punch, that's redirecting. When he comes to punch, that's reflecting. So he bounced off me because I'm going to be very resistant, earth-like. I'm not going to be soft and circular. I'm going to be low down and attack. Because I know that my opponent, if I cut that angle, when he comes to punch, if I cut that angle, I can punch him. And then I can continue punching. If I want to follow through with kicks. I just want to keep my opponent's center of gravity moving backwards, because once he can put his foot behind him, he'll be in a position to exchange with me, and that's when I'll move away. So in this technique, when you're standing here, when he comes to punch, you're just blocking that center. If you want to continue with your second punch, third punch, fourth punch, you can continue with your second, third, and fourth. But it's never giving and redirecting anymore. It's going to be complete resistance. So here, if we wanted to do what we were doing before, in Seicho Jutsu we use a lot of counter-crossing techniques. Now when he comes to punch, I'm coming straight through this line. So in slow motion, when he comes to punch, my arm's not going away from me. See, as your arm goes away from you, the further it goes away from your body, the weaker it gets. So if he had a 20-pound weight and he was holding on to it, he can hold on to it here for a long period of time. As his arm gets further away from his body, he's going to get weaker. So this theory, there's always theories and strategies to these techniques. It's not just somebody saying, well, I'm going to do a block and a punch. There's a reason for understanding movement, motions, angles. So as he comes to punch, I'm locked in. So his punch is being bounced off me, which is allowing me to carry on through my punches, and there's not much he can do from that. If he punches from the other side, the same thing. I'm coming straight through. In this position, I can continue punching. So here, as my opponent comes to punch, I close in. So as long as, again, I'm going to show this in slow motion. From this, he can punch me and retract. So there's an angle from his shoulder to my chin. Now, it's fine if my hands are here. Now, if he retracts and I move here and I'm locked in and he's stretching his force going out, he's going to bounce off me. That's called reflecting. So as long as I know this, so as soon as he comes to punch me, I'm coming to explode in, striking him in this position where I can continue over and over. Now you see, since we train this way, he's already preempting. He's got his hand up blocking that punch because he knows what's going to happen. If you're looking at this, also, I started counter-cross. Now I'm going to do the technique in line like this, like a boxer. When he comes to punch, I'm coming straight through. Now what I'm not doing is I'm not coming, blocking, and punching. That's a big difference. A lot of people see things and they think, oh, that's basic karate. It's not, because for me to block, it changes both the energy of his body and my body, and then go to punch, he's already guarding me. You have to time it so that your body explodes into that, cross that line that he needs, and when your body explodes in, you're going to come through with your punch, and secondary punch, and carry on until your opponent is either on the ground or puts his foot back behind him where he can then exchange punches with you. So from here, when we talk about slide techniques, and we're going to actually work on a side stance, because some people fight from a side stance, and if he's fighting from a side stance and he's going to retract his hand and go to punch me with his retracting hand, I'm in this position here. So when he comes to punch me, I'm coming here. So this is a slide technique because you're sliding in slow motion, you're meeting his hand and sliding straight through. Right? When he comes to punch, you can come like this to attack him, or he comes to punch and you can come from this position to attack him. So during a slide technique, there's no, the difference between, it's not like I'm going to circle around and hit him. That would be a circular technique. I'm only going to come forward. And to come forward, I have to reflect. He has to bounce off me. So his energy should be going away from his body, meeting my body as it's locked in. So in this position, when he comes to punch, I'm in this position where I'm striking him and then can continue striking him, knocking him backwards. not being in a position where he can return his strikes. So if we do this from the other side, I'll show you how it looks. From here, he's coming to punch me, and I'm coming in this position, striking him. Again, if he's coming to punch me, I'm locked up and coming with a low stance, coming to punch him, then I can continue with the secondary punch, third punch, and carry on through. So there's two ways here. One, he comes to punch, and I cross with this arm, sliding through. That was using this arm, counter cross. The other one is he comes to punch, and I'm locked in this position here, where I'm striking him and continuing to strike him. So you have to be able to take his center line and make him bounce off you. So as long as you can realize that there is a trajectory where this can hit you. My hand is here, he retracts it, just your hand. You can see this motion, see how this comes here? Now, I'm still here, but I'm here. When he punches out, it has to bounce off me. And that's what we call it, and why it's a slide technique is because when he comes to do this, our arm slides right through there. Once he's reflected from here, we're sliding through, striking him, and continue on striking your opponent. So here, using our linear movement, aggressive forward movement, if your opponent's coming to round punch you, you have to be in a position to block. Now, I can't go like this, block, and attack now. And I cannot come and punch him because he's punching me. So what I want to do is when he comes to punch me, I want to explode straight in, guarding myself. So instead of me blocking and then coming to punch, I'm covering myself in this position, but my body's coming through to hit him. So when he comes to round punch, you're exploding in, covering yourself from being hit, and hitting him at the same time. As long as you know that the difference between this is, I cannot, I'll make a mistake. He comes to round punch me, and I punch him like this, I'm still getting hit. Because my arm's extended and his arm's extended. Not only that, his arm's a lot longer than mine. So you got to realize that instead of me trading off with the length of my arm, when he comes to punch me, I'm coming through, exploding in with my whole body, hiding my head in behind my own arm, being in the position to take my opponent from here, or take out his leg from here. It all comes together. If your opponent is facing you straight on, shoulder to shoulder, rather than somebody fighting from the side stance, and you're doing a slide technique, it all depends on the trajectory of his punch. Everything changes. Whether we have his forward leg, backwards leg, how he turns his shoulder when he punches, if he's punching with both shoulders coming forward, or punching, turning his body, everything changes what you do. In doing a slide technique again, if he's coming from, he has a lot wider space in between his guard. He's not really covering his center, so I'm not going to be able to slide across here with my hands because he's out in this position here. If he's out in this position here, my slide technique is sliding through here. You see, when I attack, it's not that I'm blocking and then having to punch. It's my block is sliding straight through to my punch. I have to be able to defend from the other side in this position here where I can hit him and then continue hitting him from this position here where he can't return strikes to me. If his arms are in tight like this, it's easier for me to do my slide techniques. Now, I can slide, again, like we did before when we guarded this, we could slide straight through. So if I want to slide into here or slide straight through here, what I'm doing is, it's not that I'm blocking and trying to hit, or some people will block, stop, hit. I'm right away covering this arm to the outside of this arm, but it's not circling, it's locking it up and coming straight through to hit him. If you're after your first hit, you have your second hit, third hit, fourth hit, but everything you do is linear. Sticking with reflecting and slide techniques, we also have channeling. Well, channeling, what we're doing is we're trying to channel somebody to hit us in a certain area that will make it more advantageous to us. So if my opponent is leading with his left hand, I'm going to put my left hand in front of his, leaving a space for him to draw in and hit me to my center. So when he comes to hit me, I'm just going to slide straight in and continue hitting my opponent. To show this on the other side so that you can see it a bit better, my opponent changes his feet. He's going to, I see this lead hand, and let's say he's really fast coming in this position. I'm not going to be in a position so that he's punching over across of me here. I'm going to be here so that he has to punch inside of this hand. So when he punches inside of this hand, I'm going to continue striking my opponent. The other thing that we have is trading off, besides channeling. So we can channel and trade off. So if I'm in a position like this, I can leave my center open so that when my opponent comes to punch me, I'm going to punch him. So I just leave this position. When he comes to punch, I explode through, punching him continually until my opponent is either flat on his back or in a position where he can exchange punches. So in here, if my opponent comes to punch me, I'm doing a straight slide technique. If I want him to punch me on the inside of this arm, I leave this space. That's channeling. He gets hit this way. If I was counter cross like this, I can still do this. Now I'm not channeling. He just got, it's the football post. I leave these two football posts up, him to punch in between, and me strike through, continually hitting my opponent again. You always want to be in a position so that, let's say, I was like this is drawing him to punch in this position. Let's say I was wrong, I was in this position here. What would happen here is if my opponent come to punch me here, and I end up blocking here, I'm going to get hit with the other hand again. So I know that if I wanted to punch my opponent, I could get hit with either one of his hands. If I can, in the beginning when we were starting these techniques, where I was being offensive and aggressive, I just say, I'm just going to come in and hit him. If he's coming in to hit us first, I can come in to hit him. If he's even flinching like he's going to hit me, I can come in to hit him. If in this position here, you can let a strike come inside of you, here, as long as your body moves forward when he comes to do it. So you brace this arm so it's reflected rather than redirected, so he bounces off you. He comes to get you, you're in this position. If I wanted him to punch me in my stomach, I just leave that opening here. But what I do is, the same theory, if you're holding a punching bag and somebody's punching it, and just when he goes to punch it, you move the punching bag closer to him, it changes the distancing and throws the punch right off. So the same thing, when I leave him my center, when he comes to punch me, I'm exploding in, striking him, and continuing to strike him. Now you can see that what I did there, what you didn't realize is when he came to punch me and I exploded into this strike, when I went for my secondary punch, I guarded this. Instead of being a secondary punch so that he could then cross over this way on me, I stopped his body from being able to do that when I went for my secondary punch. So you have to be aware that if you want to draw him in, you can see if I wanted him to punch me with this hand here, I'd be in this position here. Or drawing it in this way so he sees the inside of here. I don't want this to be this way because I never want him to punch across here. I always have to guard it so that he's punching inside of me. If he did try to punch around me, again, I'm coming in straight. All of these techniques are straight, linear, aggressive techniques